Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another interview here on GTR 24/8. This time I'm with the Danish Sim Racing League driver Morten Aagesen. Thank you very much for joining me. I mean, first off, how has your season been so far after one round at Indianapolis?
Quite good, I think. A second place in the first race was the optimal we could get, I would say. So the whole team were happy for the result.
Now, one thing I did want to ask you is, I mean, we were speaking a little bit briefly before we started the interview, and you mentioned that you were on another team last season. How have you kind of found, changing team? Does it change the dynamics? Does it change how you approach races?
No, not at all. Not at all. This team, Danish Racing League, it's my boys I am driving with. I have known Sebastian from the team for 15 years, so that is it's a what can you say? It's a friendship. We are three good friends that drive together instead of the whole team.
One thing that I do like to ask drivers and teams, especially as you mentioned, you mentioned that you're good friends with Sebastian. Who makes the setup decisions, and who's the one who has to say, okay, the setup doesn't quite suit me, but I know you're quicker, or I know it suits you better, so we'll have the setup more favored towards you?
That's me. So Sebastian, he can drive with everything. So we're trying to find the best setup for all three. Eh? Someone will drive the soft tires. Someone prefer the medium tires. One idiot come with the hard tires. And so we find the best solution out of that. But the most important for us is fun in it. It has to be fun.
Well, I'm sure getting good results helps with the fun. So a second place at India
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Fun. I mean, in terms of the GT3 class, because obviously Danish Sim Racing League are in the GT3 class, who do you kind of see as your competitors, and what is your objective for the season? Is it to go for that top spot and take the win, or is it just to look at it race by race?
Well, our main target was to finish first in the championship. We don't do this just to participate. We will win. But after see how fast the other teams are, our expectations is the top 3 is... We are happy with the top 3. Our main competitors might be Unison, I think. Maybe Glam. But one move is really, really, really fast. So I'm not sure. Moving is 2. It's a 4 team that could aim for the top spot. How I see it.
Well, I mean, you mentioned one move are quick, but again, with endurance racing, who knows what can happen, and it does come down to that consistency. So hopefully we will be seeing you on the top spot at some point in the season. And the next race is at Silverstone. Is that a track that you and the rest of Danish Sim Racing League feel a little bit more comfortable with compared to Indianapolis?
Well, compared to Indianapolis, no. We have longer time to practice at Indianapolis. Now we would just have 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Yeah. So there's a whole new setup. That's a whole new setup to do. So I personally like Silverstone. It's a really, really hard track to drive at, but I like it. So I think we stand good.
I also want to ask as well, because there's a wide choice of cars that you can select, the manufacturers that you can select. So what were the decisions that went into, picking your car and deciding, okay, this is the car that we want to run with?
Well, I prefer a center engine car.
Okay.
Like the Ferrari and McLaren. But it was actually out of my hands. The boss of Danish Racing League chose the car for Le Mans last year.
Right.
So that was easy pick for us. and all three drivers like it.
I'd also like to ask as well, kind of, what is your background coming into sim racing, not just for you, but maybe for your teammates as well? And, you know, did you start on R Factor 2 or was it on a different platform?
Actually, I have been sim racing for about 12 to 15 years, back to Gran Turismo 4. But sim racing on the computer is quite new for me. Danish Racing League is a team that's based on the Gran Turismo Sport on the PlayStation. So,
what? I mean, if you were to compare the likes of Gran Turismo 4 to R Factor 2, what would you think are the main differences? Would it be a handling model or something else?
Well, Gran Turismo is an arcade game,
right?
Where R Factor is more sim, like iRacing 2, and it's more fun to drive. So,
I mean, I'm also looking at the rest of the championship right now, and looking at, you know, the tracks. I mean, obviously we've got Silverstone, we've got Nürburgring, you know, Le Mans at the end of the season. What track are you guys most looking forward to?
Definitely not Sebring. But I would say the three last races at Nürburgring, Spa, and Le Mans is, I think we can be aiming for the top spot.
So
I have
does that mean
driven 100 and 100 and 100 hours at those tracks, so I know them. I've been to Le Mans a couple of times, so I think it will be our opportunities will be at those three tracks.
Well, you mentioned Le Mans as well, and of course your first race in the EEWC was at Le Mans. Having done a Le Mans race, how much do you think that experience will help you going into the next Le Mans race, or do you think it doesn't make too much of a difference?
Oh, I think it will do a big difference, because I was what can I say? It was I got a big surprise over how fast those guys were. Now I know I have to practice a lot more than before to keep up with the other guys. So,
I mean, you mentioned how quick some of the other guys were, so I'm going to hazard a guess that you were referring, because you were in the GT3 class last year as well, correct?
The Danish Racing League were. I was driving at Elite Team Sport Racing at the Hypercar.
Ah, okay. Fair enough. So what I was going to say doesn't, I guess, apply, but I guess I could bring it in. How do you think the competition from last year, when you compare who you had to race against in the hypercar class, compares to currently? You mentioned one move being very quick in the GT3 class.
I have talked to one of my teammates, Matthias Blom. He was driving for the DSR Dream Team last year at the GT3 class. And he said that the teams are much stronger this year. Much stronger.
Well, you talked about how in the final three races going into, you mentioned Nürburgring, I think Spa, and Le Mans, three tracks that you're looking forward to. Does this mean we might be seeing a Sebastian Vettel kind of late surge in the championship to maybe claim the title?
We hope so. We hope we could do it earlier, but let's see. I think it will be a very, very close championship this year.
Yeah, it's
you could see we were P4 in the last hour at Indianapolis. 50 minutes later, we were P2. That escalated fast, so everything can happen.
Especially when we get to the 24-hour race as well at the end of the season, that maybe it'll go from, you know, P10 up to P1. Who knows what can happen? I guess moving on to kind of, as I like to say, more in real life racing. Well, actually, I guess this is kind of still sim racing related. What is your favorite kind of track, corner? You know, what gets the blood rushing for you?
Oh, I have a little thing about the Porsche curse at Le Mans. And also at the Nordschleife at the carousel is very, very nice cars. But the Porsche curse is something special for me. First time at Le Mans, it was the first part of the track I saw. That was... let's just enjoy that.
I mean,
that makes the Le Mans perfect.
Last year you were in the hypercar, so this year you're in the GT3. How different does that will that make your approach into the Porsche curves, do you think?
I tried it a couple of times now, but you can definitely not go the full throttle again through it. So it's actually it's a kind of a little bit harder to drive in the GT3. You have the speed in the hypercar and all that, but I think the GT3 car is a lot more harsh to drive.
Okay. Well, Morten, thank you very, very much for your time, and best of luck to you and the rest of the team in the remainder of the championship.
Thank you.